I was halfway through my evening tea when Detective Moran called. He didn't bother with pleasantries, which told me the situation was already bad. "Judge," he said, voice tight, "to college students Leo Perez and Mara Vance were taken. We need your eyes on the footage." I should have stayed home, but after decades in court, I know when a case is already calling my name. I grabbed my coat and drove to the precinct, still wearing my house slippers. The station buzzed with the kind of fear that makes coffee taste bitter. Moran brought me into a dim room where a screen flickered with grainy footage. I crossed my arms and watched a quiet student parking lot. Leo and Mara walking, laughing so young it hurt to look at them. Then a van rolled in slowly. Too slowly. Two masked men jumped out. One grabbed Mara by the hair. The other knocked Leo down and zip-tied his wrists. They gagged them both and threw them into the van like trash bags. The van sped off, leaving an empty lot and a rising sense of dread. When the video ended, Moran glanced at me. "Thoughts?" "This wasn't random," I said. "They knew exactly who they wanted." We combed through the kids' phones. Their last messages were about pizza toppings and deadlines. Normal. Too normal for what came next. A tech officer ran in. We found her phone behind an abandoned warehouse. Kidnappers who drop a phone are either sloppy or confident. These weren't sloppy. We drove to the warehouse, rain threatening overhead. The place was a rusted shell, smelling of oil and old secrets. Inside, we found a chair, ropes, and a smear of blood. Not enough for death, enough for terror. Then footsteps echoed behind us. "Judge," Moran shouted, "someone's running." He chased a shadow slipping out the back. I only caught a blur of a dark jacket. He wasn't random, he had been watching us. Waiting. Back inside, I touched the ropes, still warm. They'd been there recently. On the floor, I spotted a small silver charm bracelet with a tiny letter M. Mara, single quotes S. Back at the precinct. Mara's father, Daniel Vance, showed up. His face was tight, too controlled, like he was holding back something sharp. "Why haven't they contacted me?" he demanded. "Silence means they want something other than money," I told him. His expression cracked. "Years ago, I did business with a man named Corbin Hale. Bad man. When I backed out, he threatened me." Before I could respond, the phone rang. A distorted voice growled, "If you want the girl back, midnight, only Vance." No location. The call cut off. Text traced the origin to a 3-mile radius around the old shipping yard. I stared at the map. "A man like Hale wants a vantage point and isolation," I said. "Somewhere high." "The cranes," Moran muttered. Midnight came with heavy rain. Vance wore a wire, his hands shaking as he stepped into the yard alone. We hid behind crates, waiting for a signal. Then a scream sliced through the storm. "Mara!" We rushed forward. Hale stood on top of a shipping container, one arm around Mara's neck, a knife glinting in his hand. She was bruised, terrified, but alive. Leo was tied below, trying desperately to get free. "This is between us," Vance called up. "Let them go." Hale laughed, a broken sound. "You took everything from me. Now I take everything from you." I stepped forward before Moran could stop me. The sun hadn't fully risen when I reached my car, but I wasn't ready to leave. Something about the whole night clung to me like wet fabric. Hale was in custody. The kids were alive, and yet the back of my mind kept tugging at a loose thread I couldn't ignore. Moran jogged over, rain dripping off his jacket. "Judge, don't go yet. We found something." I sighed. "Of course we did." He led me to a small tent where evidence techs worked under buzzing lights. On the table lay a black envelope sealed with red wax. It hadn't been there during the rescue. Someone dropped it after we left the main yard. The seal was a symbol I recognized not from any criminal file, but from a civil case I'd handled 6 years earlier. A custody battle that spiraled into threats. A family with more money than morals. The Whitford family. I didn't like that name showing up now. It meant Hale wasn't working alone, or worse, he'd been a pawn. The note inside was short, handwritten with an expensive pen. One debt paid, one more owed, no signature. Moran exhaled sharply. "You think Hale had partners?" "Hale didn't have friends," I said. "He had grudges. Someone with real resources helped him, and that someone is still out there." Before we could speak again, a paramedic ran over. "Judge Judy, Mara Vance is asking for you." Her voice was soft when I entered the ambulance. She was wrapped in blankets, an oxygen mask resting beside her leg. "Judge," she whispered, "there was another man. Not Hale. He told Hale what to do." My chest tightened. "Did you see his face?" "Only his shoes," she said. "Brown leather, expensive, and he smelled like cologne, the kind rich people wear. She paused. He said something about a list. Did he mention your father? Her eyes darted away. That was enough of an answer. I stepped outside. The rain had finally stopped, but the air was heavy. Vance was sitting on the curb, staring at his hands like they were weapons. Daniel, I said, you didn't tell me everything. He closed his eyes, defeated. Years ago, I testified against a ring that laundered money through shell businesses. I thought they were gone. And now they're tying up loose ends, I said. He nodded shakily. Hale wasn't one of them. He was just desperate. But the others, they have power. Of course they did. Men like that don't do their own dirty work. They manipulate broken ones to do it for them. A uniformed officer approached. We found something in Hale's pocket. He handed me another IDAMAN access card to the Whitford corporate tower. That was no coincidence. Moran looked at me. Judge, this isn't over. No, I said. It's shifting. Later that morning, after the kids were taken to the hospital and Hale was booked, I sat alone in the precinct conference room. The envelope, the list, the access card, they formed a pattern I had seen too many times. Revenge that grows legs. Secrets that refuse to stay buried. I wasn't part of law enforcement anymore, but this case wasn't about a bench or a title. It was about two young people who nearly died because grown men made cowardly choices years ago. My phone buzzed. An unknown number. A distorted voice whispered, Judge, you stepped into the wrong story. Then the line went dead. I stared at the phone, feeling that familiar fire in my gut, the one that's guided me through every hard case of my career. Wrong story or not, I was in it now. I didn't jump when the phone went dead, but the tension that rolled through my body was familiar, like the tightening of a bowstring right before release. Threats don't scare me. They annoy me, and an annoyed Judge Judy is a dangerous thing. Moran knocked and stepped into the conference room. You look like you're about to cross-examine the walls. I got a call, I said, distorted voice. Someone thinks I'm in the wrong story. He rubbed his temples. Great. So now they're calling you directly. That means they're rattled, I said. People who feel in control don't warn their enemies. They watch quietly. He took a seat. We've got Vance in protective custody. And Hale finally cracked during interrogation. Says he was paid to take the kids and hold them until he got a second call. Told him where to bring them, what to do. The caller used a voice changer. Whitford Tower, I asked. He won't admit that part, but he slipped mentioned someone named Crane. The name hit me like a cold wind. Crane, Whitford, the heir, the quiet one, the one who sat through his parents' civil case years ago, wearing an expression that never matched his age of face to calculating. Too empty. I stood. We're going to the tower. Judge Moran. I didn't ask. The tower was a monument of steel and glass, pretending it had nothing to hide. When we entered the lobby, the receptionist stiffened at the sight of Moran's badge. Her smile faltered. We need access to Crane Whitford's office, Moran said. She swallowed. He's not in today. Good, I said. Then he won't mind if we take a look. We rode the elevator up 44 floors in tense silence. When the doors slid open, the hallway was too clean, too quiet. Offices like this don't go silent unless someone wants them that way. Crane's office door was unlocked. Inside, the air smelled faintly of that same expensive cologne Mara mentioned. His desk was spotless except for a single folder sitting in the center like a challenge. Moran opened it carefully. Inside were names, dozens, some crossed out, some circled, and there were photos. Daniel Vance, Mara, Leo, and me. You made the list, Moran muttered. At the very bottom was a handwritten note. Debt begins with one, ends with all. Before we could process it, a soft click echoed behind us. The door closed. Crane Whitford stood there, calm as a surgeon. Judge, he said, as though greeting me at a dinner party. Detective. His suit was immaculate. His eyes, colder than lake ice. You caused quite a mess, I told him. He smiled faintly. My family lost everything because of your ruling. Money, status, influence. You cut us open in that courtroom. You ruined yourselves, I snapped. I just read the truth aloud. Crane stepped closer. People think revenge is passion. It's not. It's math. Balance. One wrong becomes another. Hale was merely a stepping stone. You targeted two innocent kids, I said. That's not balance. That's cowardice. His jaw twitched. The first crack in his composure. Collateral. Before he could take another step, Moran moved faster than I'd ever seen. In one motion, he had Crane on the ground, cuffed and furious. You think you're restoring balance? I said, looking down at him. Here's your balance, Justice. He sneered up at me. It's not over. Maybe not, I said, but you're done.